there was a time when my son was about 5 years old. I was coaching my daughter's soccer game, and we went up to the game. Game's going to start. You're ready to coach. And I look and I don't see my son.
Okay.
And so, as a parent, okay, wait a minute or two, probably running around playing with some friends. Then another time I don't see him. So now it's been 4 or 5 minutes. And now as a parent, even that short a time, you start to get a little anxious.
Sure.
So I told the head coach, hey, I'm going to go look for my son real quick. Well, I couldn't find him at the park. And it was now 15 minutes. So I go to the snack bar, go to the restroom, walk around the field, don't see him. Now it's 20, 25 minutes, and I'm telling some of the people at the park. So they respond right away. They call the police, the deputies show up, sheriff department. They close down the park. Now there's people looking for him. And I'm beginning to, like, I guess, kind of go into shock. It's been like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Can't find him. Now I'm honestly thinking that someone took him. When we were walking through the parking lot, there was a guy who said hello to me. Now I'm thinking that guy took my son, threw him in the car and took off. And I'm wanting the police to do an Amber Alert, but they won't do it because it's not time yet.
Right.
I'm trying to pressure them. Now it's 45 minutes, and my wife was at a women's retreat, and I was just in shock. I couldn't believe what was happening. There's a lot of these trails at a park, and I'm on this trail. Just people are looking for my son. I'm looking for him. I'm just in tears, and just like, and this never happened to me before in my life except this one time. But I heard not an audible voice, but the Lord spoke to me, and He said, "If you don't see your son again, will you still follow me?" And I couldn't believe what I heard. And then I heard it again. If you don't see your son again, will you still follow me? And of course, having a relationship with God, I said, really, Lord? I go, you're really going to ask me that question right now? I go, we're trying to find Josh, and you're going to ask me this question. And it was just silent. And then I knew He was waiting for an answer. And so I had to really stop and ask myself that question seriously. If I don't see him again. And so I finally had to answer the question. And I said, yes, Lord, if I don't see Josh again, I will still follow you. And right when I said that, I guess maybe my faith, I said words of faith. And then I thought, wait a minute, I will see him again. I'll see him in heaven. And I was so sure of heaven at that moment that I will see him again. And that was the Lord. It wasn't me. And right when that happened, the police pulled up and said, I think we found your son. And so I jump in the police car. We drive up on the soccer field. And there's a lady way at the other end of the soccer field with my son. And it was like a movie scene. I got out of the police car and I'm running across the field and she's running. It was like, it would have been a good thing to film at the time.
Yeah.
And I grabbed him and I was crying, holding him. And the funny thing with him was he was fine the whole time. I guess he had a Game Boy at that time and he couldn't see because the sun. So he got under a chair and put a blanket over him.
Oh, wow.
And he was just 5. He was just like a little mound on the ground, under a blanket, under a chair, playing his Game Boy the whole time. He was fine. Meanwhile, and so since then, I've just learned that God was testing me. And so I guess to speak to other people, God will test us at times. And we see that now, the example of Abraham to sacrifice his son, God tested him. And, I pray that never happens to people with our children, but it could happen in various ways. But God, if we don't pass the test, God is like a good teacher. A good teacher will say, well, you didn't pass the test, but guess what? I'm going to have you retake it next week. I'm not going to give you a grade yet. And He's going to keep giving you that test until you get an A, because He loves you. He wants the best for you. So I'm fortunate. I praise God that I passed the test that day, that even if He were to take my son, I would still deny myself, pick up my cross, and follow Him. Because at that moment, I thought I would never see Him again until heaven.
Yeah.
And so it's worth it. It's worth following the Lord. It's worth denying yourself. It's worth taking up your cross daily. It's all worth it. God has so many blessings for us. And He says there's so many blessings that we can't even imagine. And God has used my life in so many ways that I never dreamed of, that I never set up. I've been to India, which I never planned those things. I've been missions trips I've been to Israel, to Jamaica, just different situations with the police department. I didn't set any of those things up. God just loves us so much, and he wants to bless you. He wants to bless your marriage, and he wants to bless your children. But we do need to submit to his will. But it's so much better. And so that's what I would encourage people to do, to submit to the Lord. He has things so much better. And that may require saying, I'm sorry, to begin this journey, to say, forgive me to somebody. And that may usually also means you need to forgive someone else in your life. Forgive them for what they've done or what they said. And let God's love pour into you and to them. It's all worth it.